Welcome, everyone. This is episode 4 of Vergence. We are Hacked in the Dark, playing Forged in the Dark games, and my name is Jacob. I will be playing Hrolf. Everyone else want to introduce yourselves, and then we'll pick up where we left off.
Sure. I'm Drake. I'll be playing Valriaut.
Navi, and I'll be playing Ananke.
Travis, and I'm piloting Agorus.
I'm David, and I will be the GM tonight. All right, we ready to get going? All right, so last time, it was the second night of the ball, and we ended toward the end of the night. Ananke had discovered that the dragon was a member of the queen's entourage as sort of a pet, along with a couple of other pets on display in the main ballroom. The dragon had also reached out to Ananke as through telepathic means to query her, and you had a conversation with her. He seems like a pleasant young dragon who is very invested in being rescued, so is happy to go along with your plan. But he is unable to communicate with other people because you are the correct bloodline to be able to do that, and there seems to be a genetic component to be able to communicate telepathically with this young dragon named Kith. You had also spent time kind of looking for presence of demons or other nefarious people in the ball, and had gotten some indication that something weird was happening, but nothing super clear. Any questions you have, or does that sound like an accurate summary of what was happening at the end of the game yesterday?
Yeah, I have one quick question.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that the dragon is relatively small, but I don't know if we ever actually established the size of the dragon.
Okay. Well, one of the things I had wanted to do was ask you guys to describe the dragon physically, but I would say somewhere in the realm of 500, 800 pounds sounds about right to me in terms of small dragon size. So large enough to be inconvenient, but not large enough to be, impossible to do anything with.
Grizzly bear, no big deal.
Mm-hmm, right.
It carries us. We don't carry it.
Yeah. Navi, tell me how you envision the dragon looking, because I actually don't have a picture in my head, and so I'm fine with your adding details to what the dragon looks like.
I think that it's a classic Western-style dragon. Wings the whole 9 yards. Maybe one day he'll get to breathe fire. Maybe black with iridescent kind of peacock colors that kind of shine under the light.
Okay. I like that. I think that's cool. So he has been chatting with you because it's been a long time since he's anybody to talk to, and he's been stuck in this silly zoo thing for a long time with everybody thinking he was just a dumb animal. So he is wondering about what your plan is, and when are you going to rescue him, and how are you going to get him out of the palace, and is there anything you need him to do? He could create a diversion for you, and he would be happy to be of help in any way to get out of here and get back to the serpent.
Yeah, I think that she'll explain, of course, that we're going to wait until it's late, and then we're going to get you out, and we've already arranged a diversion. So just try to maintain your current appearance. Let them continue to think that you are a dumb animal, and everything should go well if he just continues to be what he's been this entire time.
Okay, well, he'll go along with that, but he's clearly very, very interested in getting himself out of here and chatting with you and finding out about where in the serpent you live and who you know, and whether he knows anybody who knows you. So he's been a chatterbox at you for some time. So we can proceed toward sort of the end of the evening unless there's anything anybody wants to do in the interim time. But
I did want to take our permission slip to Sethos and see if we could arrange to get to the statuary. Was it a wing?
Is it courtyard?
yeah, so as he had explained, so just to for people listening, so Sethos was a very small academic fellow who seems to be in charge of history and the older sections of the palace. He had explained to you that there are some unused parts of the palace that were from older construction that no one goes into anymore, and that he would arrange to get a permission slip for you to go down and check things out. He had asked you to find out about a nice young man who had asked about this about 10 years ago, and he wasn't sure whether that nice young man had ever come back. Maybe he did and just didn't check in on the way out, or maybe his bones are deep in there. You don't know. So I'm going to say that, yes, you make inquiries of the major domos, and they shortly thereafter, a pleasant note from Sethos is delivered to you, saying how pleased he was to have a chat with you the other day, and he provides you with a little sealed slip saying that you have access to these remote parts of the palace.
Yeah, I think that Ananke's going to come back to the team. I'm pretty excited about that. Look, I can go anywhere.
It's legal now.
Yeah. Thank you for getting that. It's my goal after all.
Yeah. Anything else anybody wanted to do toward the end of the evening, or do we want to just proceed to when things are winding down and you have your evil plan to try to resolve?
I'd like to point out that it's not so evil.
It's true.
No, it is not. It comes from a place of goodness. All right. And is there anything you're doing in terms of preparation, or are you just kind of letting the evening go by and maybe do some dancing and chatting with people? And
I think that we're probably all still kind of actively trying to unravel this demonic plot thing going on. So we're probably on the lookout for anything that's kind of strange, because that's another thing that's kind of on the group's agenda, right? So
sure, yeah. I'm going to say that you don't, aside from the little hints that you got last time, there's not much going on at the moment that you notice. There could be stuff happening that you don't notice, but not out in the main ballrooms. Do you? So just to be clear, there's a main ballroom where lots of dancing is happening periodically. They're setting off the steam cannons and having the levels of the floor go off. There are a couple of secondary ballrooms where stuff is, other kinds of dancing is happening. Beyond that, there are other rooms where people are having the equivalent of poker games or poetry recitals or displays of somebody's latest paintings. Different kinds of things are happening. There are there's tonight is not a formal banquet. Tomorrow night will be a formal banquet, by the way. But tonight there are, in those separate rooms, you can go and have these whole spreads of hors d'oeuvres and snacks and fancy things like that. So that, it's a very fancy event that's occurring that you can partake in. And I'm assuming that you just kind of mingle and spend the evening just keeping an eye on things, looking for anything that looks unusual. Just spend the evening. There are lots of rumors of miscellaneous plots, and this person is plotting against this person, and there might be a duel tomorrow night between Duke so-and-so and Prince so-and-so. So there's, there are lots of other equivalents of player characters doing their own separate things in parallel to your set of crazy activities that are occurring. But let's say the evening goes by. and things wind down. The queen, there's a final set of toasts that seems to go on forever. The queen rises and toasts everyone else and thanks everyone for their attendance, and she makes her exit with people blowing horns, stuff like that. I'm going to say that Ananke, sometime around this time, as everything is, some of the more high-level people are processing out of the hall and things are winding down, you find yourself standing next to your mother, Noctan. She's always been one of those quiet people who you just kind of turn around and she's kind of where she is and you're never quite sure how she got there. That's always been sort of her MO. And she's kind of sipping a drink and standing next to you and, sort of out of earshot of other people, she says to you, so my dear, would you care to let me in on what you're planning tonight?
Yeah, no, we're planning on visiting some statues. They're supposed to be wonderfully entertaining. They speak. They're philosophers, apparently.
Oh, really? That sounds lovely. Would you mind if I tagged along? That sounds very pleasant.
What's a really polite way to shake off your mother?
Ooh, if only I knew.
Yeah. Don't help her win a duel.
Right. Do you need me to challenge her to a duel, and then she'll be doomed? No.
It's really easy. All you have to do is plot her downfall for 100 years. And then
It's easy.
Yeah, then it's a piece of cake after that.
Mm-hmm.
Does she have any? Did she bring anyone with her that's of importance to her? Maybe we can wing them.
There are other people. There are a couple of other people that you would recognize at the ball as being from her order of heralds. They wear a distinctive sort of manner of garb and symbol around chain around their neck. So you could go and seek out somebody like that, or to try to distract. You could also just make your apologies and say that it's a private affair with limited attendance or something like that.
you can tell her that it's apparently supremely dangerous because the last people who went in search of the statuary garden may or may not have come back.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that might not scare her off.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
It might be one of those things
That might get her more interested.
Right.
If you want, I can be a distraction with your mother coming. Like if your mom comes, then once we're there, I can make sure she's not paying attention, and then we also kind of have an alibi if she's around and like, oh, they didn't do anything crazy.
Mm-hmm.
No, I like that idea. You can entertain her.
Yeah.
He is the prince after all.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Maybe while you guys are talking, I assume this event is happening relatively. Are we going to the statues currently? Is this happening before the menagerie?
I was gonna ask that too. Well, I guess, do you have plans for the dragon tonight? And we can, like, are they time? Do they require like it to be during a dance or while no one's around or anything like that?
Yeah, we were going to wait for most of, actually during the dinner party probably would have been the best time to unleash the things, right?
Okay, so
dinner party
tomorrow. Yeah.
So tomorrow we should probably do that so that there's a good enough diversion that not everybody already half off to their rooms.
Oh yeah, pig banquet.
Mhm.
Oh, pig banquet.
Sure. So then I guess tonight we're going to the
Tomorrow's the luau.
right.
Yeah, that works. So if that's the case, I think it would be appropriate for Agorus to approach as Ananke is maybe thinking of like, how do I get out of this kind of situation? And maybe walking up to Ananke, Agorus would be something along the lines of like, I'm certain that I haven't had the pleasure of introducing myself to this person. Is this a friend of yours?
My mother, actually.
Agorus would bow in the style, and I don't know. I'm not hiding my princehood at this point, so she may or may not know.
Okay. Well, as soon as it is her business to know, and she gives you the exact level of bow that is diplomatically correct under these circumstances, and tells you that she is delighted to meet you, Your Highness, and gives you a broad smile.
I can't help but have heard that you were interested in going to the gardens as well. I believe that Ananke had expressed interest. I was thinking about going down there myself tonight.
That would be lovely. Thank you very much. I hope I'm not intruding on any private affair.
Ananke's eyebrows kind of.
Yeah, just stay away from this one, I say, pointing to Valriaut. He has a tendency to challenge mothers to duels.
So have
I
you?
do not think that that I have the history with this one that I have with the last one. So I think she is, for the nonce, I think she is safe from any, and I, by all the lights, I think that I am safe from another duel as well.
So the two of you have also approached. Is that what I'm?
Yeah, I
It's a
think
great
that.
affair.
I think that.
Yeah.
Wander.
So she bows to each of you at the appropriately diplomatically correct level. She congratulates you on your victory, Valriaut, and says that she is pleased to know, Master Hrolf, that you are not bearing a grudge regarding this event.
He didn't challenge me to a duel.
Well, it is your mother. You could hold a grudge, as far as
I know.
you know.
Yeah, right.
You have to hold on to it for 100 years, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Along with some secret piece of paraphernalia.
Right.
Yeah.
It's hard to do, but when it comes off, so
And Valriaut, are you dressed in? So you are still, you still got some harm that's on your character sheet, which isn't limiting your ability to do things. But are you? And you also have a new scar on your neck. Are you hiding that, or are you playing it up?
So I think last time we talked about the costume change. I'm going more for the full face mask,
Okay.
Goblin King sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's definitely still the throat is bared on this side, but it's the high collar on this side, so it's definitely accentuated.
Oh, really? Okay.
Cool new scar.
Nice.
So you're enjoying your new status. All right. Okay.
I'm working on this.
Mm-hmm.
You worked hard for this one. All right. So you are going to head off into the lower parts of the palace as the ball for the evening is winding down, and Noctan, Ananke's mother, is going with you. She's capable of being very charming. She's able to make, she's one of those people who's very good at small talk, and is able to make it come across as genuine. Not everybody's good at that, but she's very good at that. And you bring your little letter of access to the people running the ball, and the major domo looks at it, says, yes, I was informed of this. Shall you be requiring a guide?
How? I don't think we can get there without one, right? We don't have enough information to get there without one, right?
Well, you could go in the right general direction probably, but you'd be potentially wandering around quite a bit. So, yes, there appears to have been a misunderstanding. I will rectify this immediately. And he sends one of his people off, and shortly thereafter, you get someone arriving in palace uniform. She introduces herself as senior academician Lysandra, and she says that she is not familiar with the entirety of the lower palace, but should be able to get you at least very close to where you wish to go.
Okay. I thank you say her. Thank her for her assistance.
Mm-hmm. Of course. If you'll follow me, and she has a packet of maps and architectural drawings that she takes a look at and heads you off. You go down a long spiral staircase that is in the deeper parts of the palace. It is not as it's sort of not decorated nicely for the nobles. It's now older stonework. And you head down deep into there, into a set of storage rooms. So you see lots of big casks of wine and cold rooms for storing carcasses, and just lots of places where a palace has all of the different things that they need to store down there. Changes of carpeting, changes of linens, old styles of things, old statues that aren't in style anymore. There's a lot, one thing after another, rooms full of these things that seem to go on and on. Lysandra leads you on through these areas, past one storage room after another. There are lots of places that looks like they would be really fun to explore all by themselves. But you continue on past, and she has stopped, and there's a storage room where there are glowstones, and she hands you each a glowstone, and these are mystical things that just have some power in them. If you flick them in just the right way, they they start to glow, and they will continue to do that for actually several days. So you should, you're not worried about running out of torch fuel or anything like that here. You continue on through various parts of the palace, deeper parts. You're seeing that seem to be less and less used. And Lysandra is happy to explain to you some of the history of the palace and its method of construction, and why this part of the palace used to be used, but then there was additional construction in the direction that you've just come from. This is much less fancy, etc. And you also appear to be going deeper into the rock, so you're further away from where the entrance to the palace is. As you're moving along, you get to a large sealed door, and Lysandra pulls out a key and turns it in a very complex mechanism that she has to turn the key this way and pull it out and put it into a different mechanism and turn a different mechanism. Ask for some help. It's a big, heavy door, and it's... And there is what looks like a very deep, unused hallway into, I guess, are we playing D&D now?
Yeah.
But you see that it is dusty, that it's relatively unused, but there are footprints going from this doorway into into this passageway. And Lysandra says that that's very strange, that she doesn't know of anybody who has gone past this doorway in at least several years.
And the footprints look newer than several years old.
They certainly do. Yeah, if they are in the dust and detritus at the bottom, that runs along the bottom of the hallway, and they definitely look newer than that.
Are they boot prints or like fancy dress shoes?
They look like fairly normal-looking shoes, like a servant might wear. They don't look like super pointy Valriaut type shoes, or super. So they look like regular, normal, getting around shoes.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, hold up a moment. Let me see if I can find out who is with us. I'm going to use my reach to kind of hear through the whole area and see if I can tell if there's someone else in this area with us or not.
Sure, that's an excellent idea. So you close your eyes and reach out using the power of the maelstrom, which is, one of the things that's been irritating to you is that when you're in this Vergence, then the power of this Vergence is predominant, and therefore it's a little bit more work to try to get to reach out through here. It would be much easier if you were actually in the maelstrom, because then there would be a compatibility between the power that you're using and the local environment. That doesn't mean you can't use this power, but you have to work at it.
Sure.
So you got to close your eyes and kind of push your senses out in a way that you are not used to having to do. So I'm going to ask you to make a roll on that. I'm going to call it control standard.
Okay. So warp.
That's probably the most applicable ability there.
All right. I'm just going to go for it because I've got 3 dots.
Yeah, you do.
So 5.
So that would be the logical one to use.
Yeah.
So you rolled a 5. So partial effect. Partial success.
Yeah.
So I am going to say that you reach out and you, further along, you encounter several spots of some kind of power. And it's a power it's not quite like other, you're kind of used to someone with the power from Agorus and the orb. You're used to somebody from the maelstrom. You're used to power from the serpent. You're used to kind of minor level powers from out in the Umbra. You've encountered lots of different kinds of power. This one feels a little bit different. It's hard to recognize. And it's hard to immediately penetrate. So I'm going to say that the consequence is that you kind of get a little shock and sort of a lack of penetration, that you're sort of encountering these sort of blanks there.
Can we tell he looks surprised?
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't think I have reason to keep this particularly secret. I'll let everyone know what the sense I got was. Yeah, and could I tell how far away it was?
Sure. Yeah, it's not that far. Maybe 300 yards away from you now.
Okay. There's something fairly close.
You've gone quite a ways into the depths of the palace. So.
The way you're sensing, is this kind of like sensing like a body aura is the way it sounds like? Like he's sensing a person, it's not necessarily like an object, right? Or
yeah, well, you got a sense of movement from it. You did not get a sense of, you don't make a psychic connection like you might to a person. If you pushed, if you not pushed in the rule sense, but if you were kind of, you now have a sense of where things are. If you were to kind of push your senses into that, you might make a greater level of connection.
I have a theory, but I'm going to leave it at that. And I'll tell everyone there's something not too far, a few hundred yards, that is not familiar to me. It doesn't. It has some power that doesn't seem of any of the three Vergences.
I think I might turn to Lysandra and be like, these statues we're going to see, are they terribly near? Is this perhaps what he's sensing?
Lysandra pulls out an architectural rendering that is attempting to shows several levels, one over another, that she's taking a look at, and so she's tracing that out, and she'll show you, how it's laid out. It's one level down from here, and it looks. Let's see if she actually takes out a set of calipers and measures a distance and compares it to a scale that's on this architectural drawing, and says that the garden of statues. Once we get down to the next level, there's a set of stairs going down 100 yards away, and then it's about 700 yards further along.
So too close to be one of those.
Mm-hmm. Unless somebody's moved them.
True. Are these statues busts or are they full body?
Actually, let me ask you: are you carrying your statue with you?
No, I think I kept it in a nearby universe.
Okay.
So I can just swap them.
So the statue that you have is not a full body. It is an upper torso bust.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, let's keep our eyes out. I want to say I cast mage armor, but
but you're keeping your
right.
my assumption is that you're being quite alert, and you don't have to say that you're looking through every doorway or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
You folks are all experienced people who are used to being in dangerous situations.
The two with us are not Bloods, right?
No, Lysandra is not of the blood, and Nocton is she is a herald, so she is from an anchor, so she is has some power, but she is not of the blood.
I think I kind of want to grab Hrolf and just aside from the group maybe, ask him does this, whatever you're sensing, does it seem dangerous? Because it may be best to send them back now.
I can't say. Something unknown in the depths of the caverns, creeping around where no one's supposed to have been for a decade. Sounds potentially dangerous to me.
So I kind of look to Hrolf again, and I'm like, we can make it to the statue garden. It's not terribly far. But if I send them away under the suspicion that there may be danger down here, and they bring anybody back for my protection or otherwise, this won't disrupt your plans, will it?
It may. I would just as soon keep them with us, even if just to keep them safe. They're probably safer with us than trying to return on their own.
I think Agorus would probably nod to that at the very least, and step back to the party.
Yes, the friezes and the architectural elements. Are we done over there?
Yes,
let's continue on.
Okay. Lysandra is happy to give you all the information you can stand about the structure of this place, the history of different construction projects and stages that have occurred over the years. This palace is at least 2,000 years old and has been constructed in multiple stages by various queens and kings. So she can point things out. She's quite interested. There are parts of this she hasn't seen before. She actually takes a few samples of rock as she's going along. So she's doing the whole academic archaeology thing here, and she's delighted for this opportunity.
See, this is why I left the Caverns of Agorus. There's just so much history here, and I did not have enough room in my head for it all, so I had to go and discover my own.
Lysandra is fully sympathetic to that, and tells you that some days she has so many things she wants to study and read, she doesn't know what to start with.
Back in the Maelstrom, we I don't know. Do we have? I imagine we don't have architecture in the same way because it's just all storm.
Not quite the same way. I mean, you do have these giant floating cities that have been around for a while.
Sure.
But it's not quite the same as burrowing into rock like this.
Right. It is
How
definitely.
is it for Hrolf? You grew up in open skies, and now you're deep underground.
It's true. I'm probably listening very attentively and using it to distract myself.
Okay.
But you don't have agoraphobia, do you?
I do not. No, I've been traveling for a while, so I've gotten to see like plenty of places.
Yeah, you've all been many places, and characters of the blood are very good at overcoming their own personal issues and traumas and difficulties.
Mm-hmm.
But it is, certainly you could play up that this feels odd to Hrolf, even though you can you're able to keep going.
Sure, right.
All right, so you're just going to proceed along the way toward the Garden of Statues?
Yep.
Okay. So you do that. You go down about 100 yards down the hallway. There is a staircase that is headed steeply down from there. It's just kind of this big open staircase, and it just goes right down into the dark. This whole area is completely unilluminated except for your glowstones. And you head down there. It is dusty and musty and moldy, and somewhat dank. And you are heading down the stairs. Hrolf, are you maintaining any kind of reach contact, or have you withdrawn that?
If I can, without being too distracted, I would.
Right. I think you could maintain at least again, this area is not good for this. If you were out in the Umbra, you could just maintain easily a feeling of what's happening around you with relative, without a whole lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Here, it's definitely work to do that. So you will be a little distracted if you decide that you want to, have that sense out there.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like keeping a third eye open kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's possibly better than trying to look for something, especially when I've got a couple other people with me who are.
Yeah. So you're not, it's not like you're alone in the middle of all of this.
Right.
You have other people to keep an eye on things.
Right.
All right. So you travel down those stairs into the dark. You hear echoes out there. This is a very echoey place. This next level is very high vaulted ceilings with kind of big open spaces, not quite like, I don't know, quite like those big halls of Mordor, Moria in the Lord of the Rings movies, but that kind of feeling of openness and space. And you kind of travel your way through the mines of Agorus.
Are the footprints in parallel with us still? I assume you would mention if they broke off.
Yeah, so at this point, there were footprints going down that you've been seeing down these stairs. So they kind of went along with you, but now they're headed off in different directions from the bottom of the stairs, not necessarily directly toward the location you're looking for.
In multiple directions?
Multiple directions, yes.
Interesting.
And you could follow us,
Does
follow
it appear to be multiple prints?
Yes.
Not just like 1 foot this way and 1 foot that way.
The left and right half.
Yeah, right.
It is just when I begin going up that column there that I begin to worry.
Okay. Well, I guess let's go the way we're going.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Can I borrow the map from Lysandra? I might be like, we're pretty close. Can I see that just for a moment?
She's not trying to hide it from you. Sure.
Sure. I just want to trace a few lines and see if I can't think of what might be around that might be of interest to this mysterious entity.
Sure.
The statues walk.
There are some deep shafts that run that are marked on this map that run deep into the rock that are not too far away in the direction that some of those footprints go could be off in that direction. Other than that, these are this is various. This where you are now used to be kind of the equivalent of the grand ballroom that you were in before. This was a place where this was the grand hall of the king of Agorus. As to whether that has meaning now or not, you're not sure.
Sure. I might ask Lysandra, or if this is common knowledge, I might know. There aren't any legends in the palace of lost tribes of servants, persons who have been you know what I mean, almost a mini civilization that grew up in the remnants of the palace or whatever.
Just lost butlers and maids. Actual existence down in these.
Serving each other.
Yep.
We just lock them down in there. We can always get more servants. They're just
Yeah, there are a dime a dozen. You can always bring them in from the Umbra if you have to. She
There's
gives
always more.
Yeah. She tells you a couple stories of people who got lost and got found years later. A couple of stories of people who ran away and lived for years, and presumably their remains got found 70 years later. That kind of thing. No rumors of civilizations like that, but individual people who found their way into these places and various things happened. And of course, plenty of ghost stories.
One way or another, this is a place of ghosts.
Yes. Yeah, it definitely feels that way.
We take a turn to Duskwall.
Yeah. Not quite the same kind of
We haven't found a use for them yet.
Right. There is no ghost field that you are attuned to.
No, but I have plenty of lightning.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm probably getting a little, eager, so let's move on.
Okay. All right, so you make your way to the other end of this vast hall, and down, according to the map that Lysandra has, the Garden of Statues is just down the hallway. There is a door, a set of double doors that are closed in front of you. Lysandra says that she does not have a key to this.
And it's through here?
Yes.
I knock on the door.
Knock, knock, knock.
Fair.
Knock. We open.
I may be able to help if no one minds.
Sure.
Okay, what would you like to do?
Ananke's going to use her blood blade to try and simply open a rift through the door so they can step through.
Nice. Okay, that makes sense. What does your blade look like?
I think it's relatively small, probably about a 6-inch blade. It's got a curve to it. It probably looks more like a decorative, maybe ritualistic piece than a working piece.
Okay. All right. Neat. So, if this were out in the Umbra, you could just open things up without any trouble whatsoever. But here, reality is harder to make rifts in. So you go up to this doorway and you decide that you're going to basically cut an opening in reality that allows your own kind of making a doorway in this door. And I'm going to ask you to make a roll. Let's see. I'm going to say under these circumstances, this is risky standard. And standard means that if you get a success, you will open up, you'll create an opening that a person will be able to go through.
And it's going to be a warp roll?
Unless you want to talk about other abilities, but that is looks like your best single ability, so it wouldn't be ridiculous to make that roll.
Traverse is also good, and I think either one applies, but warp is
either one. Okay.
Let's see how many of you guys get through the door before somebody gets stuck.
That could be a possible consequence.
Is there a devil's bargain here?
Oh, interesting. So let's say, what would a devil's bargain look like here? Let's see. Do you have one in mind, or are you just kind of exploring?
I could imagine maybe attracting unwanted attention or something being on the other side, because we know we're not allowed down here. So those.
All right. Yeah. So I will say that if you want to make a devil's bargain, there's going to be something paying close attention that will be very aware of this use of the power here.
And that's way better than what I was going to say. I was going to say it would let us in, but not out.
I thought about that one too.
All right, I'll take it.
Yeah, I was going to say if you want to take it, you can, but we're also trying to be sneaky, so.
I suppose that's true, but I mean, at this point, if anything's down here and watching us, I don't think there's any mistaking that we're of the blood. We're walking around with Agorus, and now the Herald has joined us, so.
And now suddenly you're radiating these black tendrils of energy and everything.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
I wonder what's going on with that.
Yeah. And of course, a devil's bargain is kind of with the player, not with the character, right? So you could do a devil's bargain to get yourself into terrible trouble that your character would never agree to.
It's true.
Yeah, as Drake, that sounds really awesome. As Valriaut, this sounds awful.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, I always go for the more interesting choices you roll for.
Yeah.
All right. So you want to go for an extra die for that? Okay.
Drake rolling for Navi.
And a 6. So you get a success. So there's no consequence from the roll, but as a result of your devil's bargain, there's going to be a high level of notice that's occurring. That's happening in the story, but it's not something that Ananke immediately notices. What does it look like when you cut through reality? Is there any kind of effect that you'd like to describe there? I'm just interested in how that looks. We have an infinite special effects after all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I think that, she just stabs the dagger into the door and then she starts carving downwards and it kind of peels away to like a bright light. So it almost looks like you're stepping into a portal rather than a door. So you kind of walk through and there's a little bit of a liquid shimmer in between the space and then it just disappears once everything closes up.
That's cool. I like it.
Nice.
Okay.
Should we?
And I think Agorus would like to turn to Ananke after displaying this power and being like, it was very generous of you to have gotten that note to have access down here.
I am a law-abiding citizen.
Should we see what's on? Should we see what's on the other side of the door after a break?
So after you use this knife, you can see. Actually, let me ask you this question: do you think your mother already knew that you had this ability, this knife, or is this going to be a surprise to her that you can do this?
I think it could I think it might be a surprise to her that I'm doing it, but the power itself is not exactly a surprise. I think she might even suspect or expect something of that nature to come from, her children from, that particular bloodline, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think they have a very close relationship. She's a herald. She's usually off, and Ananke's kind of usually off by herself anyway. So I think that, yes, everything she does is very strange to her mother.
Okay.
With guidance and children, all just let themselves in places.
All right. So you turn and you see a proud smile on the face of your mother. She's pleased that you've achieved this level of power. You also see that Lysandra looks like she would love nothing more than the opportunity to examine your blade and understand what you were just able to do there. So sort of an ooh.
I think that Ananke is just very much. This is normal. This is Tuesday. What's going on?
Yeah. Anyway, so you all of you are stepping through. One of you is stepping through. What's going on?
Yeah. Do we want to step through after a break? It's 7:30.
Sure. Yeah. So it's 35 past. This is an excellent time.
Okay. Sounds good. We'll be back in 5 or so minutes. Stay tuned,
Okay.
everyone.
Great.